Hi everyone! Today's review will be focused on 5 unique varieties. And they are unique because they appeared under the Gondwana tomato series. This is such a separate line of dwarf tomatoes with anthocyanin from one of the founders of the dwarf tomato project. I got the seeds directly from the breeder and couldn't wait to finally be able to tell you about these varieties, and now it's here. Tomato Express, this time heading towards Gondwana, is on its way. Take your seats, we're getting started. Let's start today's review of the Gondwana tomato series with a story about the Gondwana Thunder variety. This is not a tall, sturdy dwarf with wrinkled leaves, and by the end of July, the plants reached a height of 2 feet or 60 centimeters. The fruits are round in shape, sometimes with a slight ribbing, dark in color, and with a huge amount of anthocyanin. And even in spite of the abundant white foliage, reliably sheltering tomatoes from direct sunlight. By the way, this foliage was quite resistant to the main diseases of tomatoes, and despite the obvious difference in climatic conditions of Australia and Belarus, the plants felt fine. The color of the fruit is even hard to describe, probably something between dark pink and purple, so I would rather refer it to dark fruited varieties. The weight of the first harvested tomatoes ranged from 5 to 6 ounces or 146 to 165 grams, and I wondered if they were as beautiful on the inside as they were on the outside. The flesh is dark pink on the cut, the greenness in the seed cavities is clearly present, which in itself gave me certain positive expectations, and these tomatoes are also quite dense. As for the flavor, it's fruity and pleasant, with sweetness and noticeable acidity. I didn't notice any flavor often characteristic of anthocyanin varieties. Rather, it's more of a classic taste of a good homegrown tomato. The Gondwana Thunder tomato is interesting, beautiful, and delicious. Of course, you all realize that there is no thunder without lightning, so let's move on to the next variety called Gandwana Lightning. This dwarf I had was slightly taller, and the height of the plants at the end of July was about 2 feet 8 inches or 80 centimeters. Tomatoes are very beautiful, bright red pink, literally strawberry color, with golden touches reminiscent of lightning stripes. And in combination with anthocyanin, all this creates a unique picture pleasing to the eye. Anthocyanin is also prominently displayed not only on the tomatoes themselves, but also on the stems. All this looks very attractive, and I believe that Gandwana Lightning can become a decoration for any garden. The first fruits weighed from 5.5 to 7.5 ounces or 154 to 214 grams, and it remained to find out what one of the most beautiful tomatoes of the season would taste like. Inside, the tomatoes are crimson-colored, juicy, and moderately dense, and I could smell the aroma as soon as I cut them open. The flavor is dominated by sweetness, complemented by spicy anthocyanin notes. A slight acidity is also present, and overall, Gondwana Lightning is quite a tasty and flavorful tomato with a rich and balanced aroma. And again, it's very beautiful and I can't help but notice it, and so it has become a nice addition to my tomato collection. However, not only this variety, but also, for example, the next one in the line named in honor of a natural satellite of the Earth. And of course, I'm talking about the dwarf Gondwana Moon. The plants turned out to be perhaps the tallest of the entire Gondwana series, and their growth in the middle of summer was equal to 3 feet 3 inches or 1 meter. Perhaps also due to this factor, in my conditions, Gondwana Moon showed the highest yield among the members of this tomato line. Tomatoes are very beautiful and really looks paste-like. The combination of rich yellow color with anthocyanin makes them similar to the bright moon. In addition, this is so far the only dwarf of this color that I have ever met. The more valuable this variety is for me personally. On average, the fruits weighed about 6 ounces or 160 grams, but there were quite a lot of them, so I was more than satisfied with the result. And although they were rather dark yellow on the outside, inside I found an unexpectedly light and very juicy flesh that instantly filled the whole place with its aroma. And the aroma was not deceptive. The tomatoes really have a very bright flavor with sweetness and berry tones. I love such tomatoes, and who doesn't like when tomatoes are not only beautiful but also delicious? The variety made the most pleasant surprise, and in my opinion, Gondwana Moon is a very tasty tomato with an excellent balanced flavor, and its high yield is just an extra bonus. Next, I want to show you another exciting variety called Gandwana Rose. The height of these plants was the same in the greenhouse and outdoors and was about 2 feet 8 inches or 80 centimeters. The plants are sturdy and strongly foliated, and I would recommend that you grow them in 3 or 4 stems. The fruits are rounded, shiny, pink in color with anthocyanin, thanks to which obviously the tomato got its name. Another attractive-looking variety, just like all tomatoes of this line. In the first season, tomatoes didn't turn out large and weighed from 4 to 5 ounces or 109 to 133 grams, but I think the variety has the potential. The slice is very beautiful, dark beet color with green in the seed cavities. I really liked it. The tomatoes are dense and juicy, and their flavor is both sweetness and noticeable tomato acidity. The taste is long-lasting and definitely enjoyable. These tomatoes are not only beautiful but also tasty. Perhaps I didn't get any great yield from Gondwana Rose in the first season, but this aspect can rather be attributed to the fact that it's just getting used to my conditions, so I will not judge harshly. In any way, its best qualities easily outweighed this downside. And one more variety that I remember particularly, especially for its flavor and not only, is called Gondwana Lava. Plants are also strong with thick stems with a height of about 2 feet 4 inches or 70 centimeters, set fruits of dark purple color. There is a lot of anthocyanin, but at the same time there are also noticeable green touches. In general, tomatoes look very even pretty, and it was fun to watch them grow. By the way, if you still have questions about what is the word in their name, Gondwana, I will explain. It's an ancient supercontinent in the southern hemisphere, which included Africa, South America, Antarctica, Australia, New Zealand, and Arabia. But let's get back to tomatoes. The weight of the fruit, as in the case of Gondwana Rose, wasn't large and ranged from 4 to 5 ounces or 108 to 136 grams. But for a dense tomato with a rounded shape, this is not bad either. The flesh is a beautiful dark color, but the main thing I would like to note is the excellent berry sweet flavor of these fruits, complemented by an unusual spicy aftertaste. At the moment of tasting, it even seemed to me as if it was something like cinnamon. I mean to say that it's definitely delicious, and that's why I consider my personal experience of growing both Gondwana lava tomato and other varieties shown in this review to be extremely positive. This interesting direction of tomato breeding comes as a result of the work of one of the creators of the dwarf tomato project, and of course I just have to give the floor to the author of the Gondwana tomato series, Patrina Nooski of Australia.
Hi Alex, thank you so much for reviewing my Gondwana series. In 2012, I decided I wanted to include some genetics from Jim Meyer's Indigo Rose into the dwarf tomatoes that I was breeding. So I made a cross between Indigo Rose and Adelaide Festival initially, and another one between some other tomatoes and Indigo Rose. I really decided that I wanted to name these varieties something that sounded more or less connected to Australia. This was after the dwarf tomato project. Seeds could no longer be shared between America and Australia. So I developed these on my own for the last decade. In my imagination, Gondwana might have been a very dark and mysterious sort of place, so it seems to fit quite well with these unusual tomatoes. Even though these dwarfs are not part of the Dwarf Tomato Project, they are a part of the open source seed initiative, just like the project seeds are. So I hope that people will realise the importance of this initiative and remember to pass it along when they share the seeds. Anyway, thank you so much for doing this review. I really appreciate it.
I would like to thank Patrina once again for her breeding work and of course for the seeds she provided me, thanks to which I was able to grow all the varieties of this unique dwarf tomato line. This is how the Gondwana tomato series opened up for me. Today I was able to share this information with you. Write your opinion in the comments. I know it can be different. Feel free to express your thoughts. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and of course, love tomatoes, grow tomatoes. This is the Lucky Garden channel and see you soon.